At highway speeds, the average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. That's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari. So nice to be here with you today. We are going to be talking today about trust. The need to trust not only others in our lives and strangers, people we don't even know, but most importantly, when and how to trust yourself. And our upcoming guest here, our next segment, Brian Dickinson, will be a perfect example of how he had to trust his own instincts to survive. A very amazing story. So stay with us for that. And also, we're going to be taking your calls. Again, that number to call in is 800-333-0001. And if you have any questions about today's show, I'll give you this information again at the end, but I want to make sure that you know how to reach out to us. So send us a message at connect@livingfullout.com. Give you that because we want your feedback on today's show and all shows. We'd like to know what inspires you. Questions that you may have, additional resources that you may need. Also, if you have a story that you feel is motivating and may educate or guide or inspire others, we'd love to hear that story, and perhaps you can be a guest on our show as well. So again, that's connect@livingfullout.com. Also, to catch the replay of this show and all of our shows, go to livingfullout.com/radio show, and then that way you can find all the shows there waiting for you. But talking about today's topic, trust, it is one that is just so important. I've learned even in my own life, as you know, and some of you who may not, I'm legally blind. And that can be really complex sometimes. When you can't see what's in front of you, especially walking on the street. Just even today, I was walking my dog and I just missed the turn. And I usually recognize that turn from a mailbox. But for some reason, I just must have been into my Saturday morning walk and I missed the mailbox. And I walked and everything started to look unfamiliar, but I knew I'd gone too far, and there was no one to ask, and I couldn't see the address. I couldn't see where I was going, so I had to follow my instincts. I had to be patient, be calm. I turned back around. I kept walking until I found that mailbox, which felt home-like to me, and then I was back on track. So sometimes in life, we're going to get off course, but you have to trust yourself that you will get back home. You will find yourself where you need to be so that you can flourish, so you can go on in your day. And that's obviously why I'm here today. I'm no longer walking the streets, right? So I found my way back. But I want to go now to our phone lines and let's see what our audience is saying today. So welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hello. Hi. Welcome to the show.
Hi, this is Pamela.
Hi, Pamela. Thank you for joining us today. How can we help you?
Well, my issue is I am a newly divorced mother of 2 young girls, 8 and 4. Unfortunately, my husband cheated on me when I was 6 months pregnant with the youngest one. And now the oldest one is wanting to know why I divorced her dad. She's starting to ask questions. I don't know how to tell her not really the whole truth because she has a great relationship with her dad. But, I do want to tell her something. I don't want to keep brushing it off because she is 8 and she is going to start, hearing things from friends about divorced parents. And I just don't know what to tell her or even how to tell her.
You know what? I'm so glad that you brought this up today, and I do have a couple of thoughts for you. And my one question I have for you are: did you come from a divorced family yourself, or were your parents together?
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you too well.
I was just wondering, did you come from a divorced family as well, or were your parents together?
No, I did not. No, my parents have been happily married for 60 years.
Oh, okay, okay. I actually did come from a divorced family, and I can share with you that I love that you're asking this question because my mom, I love her, one of my best friends, but she did not speak so highly of my dad for years and years and years. And that is really hard on a kid's heart because all you want to do is please your parents, right? And you try to struggle with where is your loyalty. What I would suggest is try to see if you can find an example, maybe one that you're aware of, or maybe ask your child if they have ever had a disagreement with somebody. You kind of want to bring it down to their level, okay? Because even as kids, we don't necessarily play on the playground nice with everybody, right? Even as kids, you can have a crush, and then the guy doesn't necessarily treat you well, or maybe he's on to the next girl. You want to make it relatable to them. They won't understand the full gravity of why. They're not going to understand necessarily how deep that cut was for you, and I've experienced being cheated on as well, so I don't wish that for anybody. And so I can understand that pain, but I would find some way to make it relatable to them. And so if they've had a disagreement with a friend and maybe they had to let that friendship go, or maybe if you noticed over the years that they used to be friends with somebody and then maybe that they had an argument, or maybe they just lost touch and then now they're with a new pack of friends, you want to find some way to make it relatable to their world. And of course, as they get older, you can disclose more and more and more. It's just at 8 years old, your parents are your world. Like, they're your protectors. They're your role models. So I think it's great that you're thinking it through as to how to best answer that question. And I would just say, sometimes in life, men or females, we have disagreements. And sometimes our feelings get hurt. And sometimes that pushes us to not want to be with that person anymore because they hurt our feelings. So, daddy hurt my feelings. And, but I think that you have a great daddy. You don't want to put him down. But you got to bring it down to their level. That daddy hurt your feelings. And that's why, you're not as close as you used to be. But then kind of go to a positive, like address it, but don't stay on it too long. Okay. How does that sound?
Thank you. That sounds great. Thank you so much for the help.
Absolutely. And you know what? Like I said, I think you're amazing. I love that you're giving this such consideration, and your kids are very lucky to have you. I promise you that.
Thank you. Thank
you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Nancy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I love that she's trusting her instinct. She knows she's at a crossroad where she's got to make decisions, and she's got to start explaining circumstances in her life, and that can be tricky. When life gives us such messy situations, and we have to explain to our parents, our kids, our friends, it can be tricky. But if you trust yourself, trust the words, just follow your heart, you can never go wrong, I promise. So we're going to go back to the phone lines now. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hey.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. What's going on today?
Well, I just graduated from college, and I actually just accepted my first full-time job, which is going to require me moving from North Carolina to Florida. And so I guess my question would be, what are some things that I can do to, I guess, not stress so much over such a big life change? And then how am I going to rebuild a social life down there, because I don't know anyone down there, and so that might be a little difficult for me, at least at the start.
Well, I'm glad you called in. Let me ask you a question. Are you from North Carolina? Is that where you're from?
Yes.
Okay. Have you lived in the same town your entire life?
Yes.
Okay. You've been in this bubble, this safety bubble then. Most people, when I ask that question, they will have moved away. Maybe even their college was 2 hours from where they grew up, something like that. So they've had to constantly make friends. But here's the thing. I would bet from kindergarten to now, I would bet over time your friendship base has changed a little bit.
I agree with that.
Okay. And I would bet that every time that changed and you evolved and you met people that were more in alignment with you, you just naturally found a way to connect with them. You found those natural things to talk about. I'm not talking about the weather, but talk about sports, talk about, career goals. And I'm sure that when you met new people in your classes, you had no problem being as charming as you are, just meeting people. So the thing is, don't psych yourself out too much. Don't put that pressure on yourself, okay? Because if you be you, they're going to love you. And the other thing too is you're not going to be twisting too many people's arms to come visit you in Florida. That's kind of a nice destination. So first of all, if you were in a less desirable area, I would say, oh gosh, I don't know if anyone's going to visit you there, but you're in Florida. Okay. Yes. Look at this as a great adventure. Think of all the people that graduate that can't get jobs, and here you got one. That means that someone in HR looked at countless resumes and they saw yours and they said, he is the best person for the job. Awesome. Okay, they chose you. So there's a lot of positive momentum going your way. So just be excited. And also one last tip I'll give you, and there's this website all over the country. Some are more thriving than others, but there's a website I've gone to here even in LA. It's called meetup.com, meetup.com. Meetup.com will give you options for recreation, hobbies, anything you want where you could connect with people. So check that out in your area where you're moving. But thank you so much for calling in, and we wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Everybody, we'll be coming right back with Brian Dickinson, and stay with us. Thank you so much. We'll be back.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That's not cool.
.org. Millions of people help millions of children. All calls are anonymous and confidential, so call 1-800-4A-CHILD or visit childhelp.org. Child Help. Trust your instincts. Brought to you by Child Help and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
In the world of fairy tales, Sleeping Beauty had 3 good fairies to protect her. But in our world, protecting the beauty of the forest is the responsibility of everyone.
Listen well, all of you.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans and can be prevented.
We'll all pitch in. If humans can do it, so can we.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Log on to SmokeyBear.com to find out what you can do. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. A professional motivational speaker, Nancy can help you overcome obstacles and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, everyone. We're back again. This is the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about trust. Here's the thing. Life is sometimes like you're climbing a really big mountain. You get tired, you almost want to give up, and you never know when that downhill is coming. Well, this next guest, Brian Dickinson, I am telling you, put on your seatbelt. His story is a really, really good one, very inspiring. But as a former Navy rescue swimmer, he's no stranger to surviving, to working hard, to taking on challenges that for anybody might seem, unbelievable. But that's the world that he kind of grew up in. However, he was faced with amazing challenges when he went to go climb Mount Everest, trying to get to that summit. How oftentimes are we in life just trying to get to the top of the mountain? Well, good news is Brian got there, but it took him trusting himself. And I don't want to give his story away, but I'd like to welcome Brian Dickinson to the show. Brian, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, good to talk to you. So,
it's great to talk to you as well, Nancy.
Absolutely. So, your story is one that's not only inspiring, but honestly, it's so relatable to everyday life, actually. So I want everybody to kind of see themselves here in Brian a bit as he goes along sharing his story. But let's kind of bring our audience here up to speed, because for many of us, we have not climbed Mount Everest like you have. I wouldn't even know where to start to train. But can you kind of share with us just how you got to doing this summit and what that initial stages were like for you in getting prepared?
Yeah, I think for climbing Everest, it's not something you just show up and do one day. It's a lifestyle. It's a dream, and I think we're all wired a little differently. And it's really just unlocking, who you are, what your potentials are. And for me, it was really mountaineering, I really took to it, years ago. And Everest being that pinnacle peak, the highest mountain in the world, it's definitely something to go after. And yeah, most people will never even consider stepping foot on it, and that's good because most people aren't equipped or wired to do that, and that's probably a good thing. But yeah, for me it's truly a lifestyle. It's just a lifestyle of fitness and just mental, emotional, spiritually, just taking to the mountains and just kind of evolving my life as I go. And it's really being in the mountains is how I get away from the clutter in life and really just gain clarity to be a better person when I am back at sea level.
Well, and climbing Mount Everest is a large time commitment. It takes 2 months to make it happen. 1 month to acclimate and then to actually do the climb and come back. Can you share with us, how you started that initial 2-month journey?
Yeah. So, I have a wife and 2 young kids. So it's very difficult to leave for 2 months. But that's the commitment of climbing the highest peak in the world. And to climb Mount Everest, because there's only a third of the air up at the summit, that's why they call it the death zone. It takes a month just to acclimate. And even before you get to, like base camp's 38 miles on foot. First thing you got to fly around halfway around the world, fly up to the mountains, the Himalayas, and then hike 38 miles on foot and get to immerse yourself with Sherpa, which are the local people there, just amazing people. And, had a Sherpa porters that helped carry some loads into base camp and a little bit higher up on the mountain. And then a climbing Sherpa, Pasong. And, we were partnered together, and just the two of us. I wasn't part of a big group. I was independent, so it was just myself and Pasong heading up higher in the mountain. But once we get to base camp, which is at 17,500 feet, so base camp alone is way up there. You got to be acclimated just to get to base camp. From there, it's the true acclimatization process starts, where I climb up high and come back and sleep low. So I go up and touch the camps and come back down. And what that does is it forces my body to produce more red blood cells, which carry oxygen, so I can survive up higher. And it's just a lot of time back and forth going up through, the Khumbu Icefall, one of the most dangerous places you can climb, anywhere in the world. It's where multiple deaths have occurred with falling seracs, which are building-sized blocks of ice, and it's where you cross the ladders with all the gear, the crampons, the spikes on my boots, and, just going up through that area is very dangerous, and you got to move through the night because once the sun comes out, things become very unstable. So it's a long process just to get in a position, back at base camp, acclimating for like a 5-day weather window to actually make an attempt on the summit.
Well, and I'm just curious. I mean, obviously you got your military training, all of that, but you're a bit of a superhero, Brian, whether you know this or not, because again, not everybody's going to try to attempt to climb Mount Everest. But were there ever times in that acclimating process of a month, and even when you started the journey, that you wanted to give up, or you thought, oh gosh, I think this is more than I think I bit off more than I could chew?
I think fear keeps us kind of grounded, and it's really knowing what to do with that fear. So I think there's always fear that goes into it that kind of helps me take calculated risks, where I'm kind of weighing out everything. I did get a head cold going into base camp initially, and it wasn't so much that I was considering quitting. It's at moments like that where you're at 17,000 feet and just the pressure of the world is just collapsing around your head that it just makes you realize that there are things that are outside of your control. At that point, I didn't know it could be, some sort of edema, some high altitude physical ailment that could be, causing me not to climb. But I went down to a lower village and I was able to heal and then get back in the game. So I'd say that was probably the biggest eye opener. And then from there on, I was pretty strong and moving up the mountain. But yeah, it's always difficult because it's more mental and emotional than anything. I mean, physically, it's tough, but I train really hard for that. And I would hate to get in a position on a high altitude mountain and not be able to do it because I didn't train hard enough. So I definitely take care of the things that are within my control. But there's always things that are going to happen that are outside of our control, and it's, I think, how you respond to those is whether you're going to make it up or down, but more specifically safely back home.
Well, and you know what? That's a life lesson right there. Whether it's Mount Everest or you're just having a hard day, that mountain is sometimes in our mind. It's something that we feel we're trying to achieve on a daily basis. And you got sick early on and then recovered from that. But Pasang, he actually got sick a little later into your journey, and that's really where your solo mission to hit the top of Mount Everest began. Can you share with us, I guess it was in the evening that he got sick, but can you share with us where you were in the mountain at that point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was Pasang and myself were going for the summit, so it was May 14th, 2011. And on Everest, because it's so high up there, just under 30,000 feet, it creates its own weather patterns, so there's only a couple days out of the year that you can actually get to the top. And for whatever reason, Pasang and I were a day ahead of the rest of the group, the rest of the people that were trying to climb Everest. So there's only two of us going for the summit, which is very unusual. That's from the south or the north side. And as we're heading up, and he's a strong young guy, he already had 3 summits in previous years. At about the halfway point, he just was not feeling well. So we had to have a conversation there at 28,000 feet, a couple thousand feet up in the death zone there. And it's interesting because not many people have the experience of being up there. So it's always hard to explain. But, I mean, you live and die by the decisions you make, but you only have the information, the data that you have at that time to make those decisions. So, you take responsibility and you move forward. And in that moment, I had to weigh out, I was the only person heading up for the summit. So I had to weigh out, how was I feeling? How was the weather? Everything checked out good. But most importantly, could Pasang get down? And he assured me he could. In fact, he said he was going to wait, pretty close to where we were and and then I would just catch him on the way down. But he ended up actually going all the way down to high camp.
So it's interesting. Again, your story is very relatable to just life in general. You know, when you hit that crossroad, you got to trust your instincts and decide, can I do this on my own? You know, do I feel confident in my skills, my training? And you decided to green light it and go for it. And what was that last 1,000 feet like for you alone?
It's surreal. I mean, it's even today, 5 years later, it's something that I replay over and over. Well, specifically because I do motivational speaking, have a book, and, I'm telling my story to the media often. So it's good and bad. It's very emotional, especially this past week, just going, the 5-year mark. It's hard. But, when I was there, I was in the moment. It was just one step in front of the other, just really making my way up the mountain, just trying to complete the mission of climbing the highest peak in the world. And it's surreal up there. I mean, it's only a third of the air, and you're completely exhausted and just moving. And, eventually, that you can take no more steps. You can go no higher on this, on this earth. And it's so much to take in, especially being completely alone up there. It was just surreal.
Yeah, I'm excited to, when we come back from this commercial break, share with the audience about this turning point for you, because I'm just curious what it felt like to hit that top of the mountain, because we all strive for that. So when we come back, we're going to be continuing Brian's story. So Brian, stay with us. And again, we're with Brian Dickinson, and this is Living Full Out Show. We'll be right back after this break.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hey, Jack, you got a sec?
Yeah, sure, come on in.
Yeah, I was wondering if you... Jack, your hair's on fire.
Yeah, I know. I just need to finish this sales report, and then I'll probably, let me lie down for a bit. But I'm sure it'll go away.
But the flames are getting bigger. Shouldn't I... Your hair, there's so much fire.
No, I'll be fine. What can I help you with? Oh, dear. Well, at least we know the sprinkler system works.
You wouldn't ignore this. So why ignore the signs of a stroke? If you or someone you know suddenly experiences numbness of the face, arm, or leg, or sudden trouble speaking, seeing, or walking, don't wait to get help. Call 911 right away, because time lost is brain lost. To find out more, visit www.strokeassociation.org or call 1-888-4STROKE. This message brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a trusted life coach, Nancy will help you overcome setbacks and embrace all life has to offer. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about trust, and the need to trust ourselves, our decisions. And right now we're talking to Brian Dickinson, our inspirational guest for today, whose story about how he climbed Mount Everest, really soloed it himself to the top, is one that just has multiple lessons in it about survival, stepping forward every day, just trying to stay positive. And sometimes that's what life is about. Those are the secret ingredients to life and how you get from a goal, a dream, to achieving it. So I'd like to welcome back Brian Dickinson.
Hey, I'm back.
You are. Okay, so, it's interesting. You've had a lot of achievements in your life. You were successful in the military. You've obviously have 2 young children. You've holding a child for the first time. Getting married, find the love of your life. Any one of those would be awesome achievements. But obviously, this was a dream for you. This was a goal. So when you finally got to the top, you're finally taking pictures. And unfortunately, you're up there on your own. But how does that compare to all those other achievements? Are they all different in your heart? Was this one in a more of a special place for you personally? What was that like?
Yeah, of course, everything you do, it's different time and place in your life, and you work hard towards all these goals. It was a mix. It was I hate to say like almost anticlimactic. It's kind of like if you're a huge goal setter, it's like what's next type of thing. But I think it was so hard to just process the moment and being up there completely alone. If you look in the Himalayan database, I'm one of 2 people to ever truly solo, like be alone on the summit on a single day. And it's not something that I planned on. I was expecting others to be around and Pasong to be around, but he wasn't feeling well. I went back. So it was just really processing that. You want to hug someone and like share the moment with someone. And all I had was my camera and a radio. So at that moment, I took all the, the highest selfie in the world and took, as many pictures as I could, and made that radio call down and just alerted the lower camps, and just having them, come on the radio and just all excited and everything. I was able to, I think, finally just release that moment, and it was just very emotional and just letting it out. But yeah, it's one of those things because there's not much air up there, and it's very exhausting, and you're there. You can go no higher on this earth. It's so amazing. It's amazing to look at pictures that I have and video and everything even today, and I can just get caught in that moment.
Wow. I love that. And, with all that enjoyment, with all that excitement, you're literally high in the clouds, feeling amazing for having reached this accomplishment in your life. But then you start to encounter issues with your eyes and snow blindness. Can you share with us what that is?
Yeah, so, I worked for over a month to get to this point, and I could spend less than an hour enjoying the moment. So I put all my gear together, got some water and started heading down, and just within, 10, 15 yards went completely snowblind. And I had a goggle malfunction the day prior, ended up ripping out an internal lens, not realizing that it would cut the lenses, the goggles' effectiveness in half, and having only a third of the air, a third of, ozone protection, is very, very dangerous up there. As soon as the sun banked off the ice, I have blue eyes. It fried my cornea. So snow blindness is the sunburning of the cornea. Usually takes about 24 hours to return. I wouldn't fully regain my eyesight for a month and a half. And what should have taken me 2 to 3 hours to get down to high camp took me 7. So everyone had thought the worst had happened. And just with snow blindness, just to educate people, it's if you grabbed a light bulb and put it within an inch of your face, it's that bright where you cannot see anything. You could put your finger in front of that light bulb in a situation. In the military, we learned to never panic. Panic kills. And I think a lot of that just came back. And, I just, at that moment, realized I was at the highest point in the world. I was completely alone, and I was blind. And without panicking or overthinking it, I just remember I just stood up and started walking, just taking deliberate steps, using my other senses, trying to use my eyes, but they just wouldn't work. So just using touch and sound and just making my way hand over hand down the mountain.
And it's just so interesting. I mean, obviously I'm legally blind, and so my blindness, I have that same kind of, nervous feeling sometimes, when you can't see something, you really got to go with your instincts. You got to trust yourself. But, I don't go with the potato chip crunching feeling every day. To have that amount of pain in addition to not being able to see, that just sounds just almost unbearable. And just so you can give our listeners some sort of reference point with the air, you were giving me a good example of that in a previous call that we had about relating it to a straw. Because really the fact that you had such little air, especially if you were panicking at that point, that all went into play. Can you share with us of that analogy?
Yeah. So, living at altitude and just climbing at altitude, it's really hard to describe because nothing else really compares. But one comparison that I've just heard other climbers say, it'd be like running a marathon with only breathing through a straw.
And that to me sounds not fun. I hate running, but I know straws are very small. So thank you for sharing with us, because it just kind of gives us all a sense of what you are dealing with. Here you are having that sensation, having a hard time breathing. You're dealing with the pain of the snow blindness, and then, needing to figure out your next steps. Now, when you were making your way down the mountain, you had a couple instances where you misstepped and, it didn't go necessarily the plan. What did you do in those moments?
Yeah. So heading down the mountain, there's areas where it is a 2-mile drop on each side of you. Going down Hillary Step, it's a 40-foot rock climb, and then over the South Summit, another rock climb, and just trying to figure out and negotiate those routes. I had a fixed line that I was attached to, but I had to come in and out of anchors. And, it was frustrating, but I could just feel my heart rate just, jumping out of my chest anytime I felt emotion. So I really had to keep it in check and just keep moving really slow. And the entire time down, I felt this presence around me. Like I just wasn't alone. I just felt this. I never really thought too much about it, but it was just this peaceful presence. And, I took a major fall over the South Summit where I was just completely out of control. The rope shock loaded and, saved me. But, I had to get my oxygen. My mask was ripped from my face, everything. So I was using supplemental oxygen, and just had to calm myself down and rappel over to the rock area, get down that, and almost walked right past an extra oxygen bottle that Pasong had left. And I just kind of, with snow blindness, you can see bright things, and this bright orange orb was just there, and I laid down next to it, tried to get the regulator working on it, and it just wouldn't work. So I don't know why, but I'm in the dust zone here. I just put that extra 15 pounds in my pack and just kept moving, and just remember just getting so frustrated and just trying to keep myself calm, just taking so long. And then got to where Pasong was. He said he was going to wait, but he wasn't there. And, I didn't think too much about it, figured he wasn't feeling well, he needed to get down. Everyone's in survival mode in the death zone. And then about 20 yards into it, my mask just sucked around my face. I ran out of oxygen. And at that moment, I dropped to my knees. I'd been climbing for 33 hours total from the day prior to this point, just completely exhausted, just completely wrecked, and just prayed, just said, God, I cannot do this alone. Please help me. And at that moment, I just felt this energy come over me and just felt lifted to my feet. First thing I did was try that failed bottle of oxygen, put the regulator on it, and I got a positive flow. And I just remember just sucking in 5 deep breaths of that air, and it burned. I could feel it was fire going through my veins. And I, again, didn't overthink it. I had to keep going. I had to keep moving. It would have been so peaceful to just lay down and die. It would have been very peaceful, but I wasn't going to die. It wasn't going through my head. I'm going to survive no matter what.
Yeah, you're not You're not one to give up. I don't see that in you. Just because we have a few minutes left here, literally in our interview, but you obviously did make it down the hill, and you're here with us today. But is Mount Everest something that you would do again?
So the best part of climbing for me, and I think most, is actually seeing on the way down. So that's the one thing that I've missed, because you climb through the night on highly glaciated peaks, so then you can actually see the beauty once the sun rises, and on the way down it's amazing. I do feel I kind of missed out on that, but I don't have, I've been there, done it kind of thing. If my kids, which they're very adventurous, if someday they grow up and they want to climb, which sometimes they hint to it, then I may want to go with them. But otherwise, no, there's no shortage of adventures on this earth, and I don't feel compelled. I'm very content with what I've done at this point.
Well, and let's all take that in, content. Sometimes in life, we just have to be happy where we are. Again, your story, Brian, has so many really great lessons to learn. And that last one, being content and satisfied and happy with what we have, having gratitude for what we have, that's a huge principle that we teach at Living Full Out. So I'm glad you brought that up. And for anybody who wants to, learn more about Brian's story, can you share with them the name of your book?
Yep. So my book is Blind Descent, and it's on, anywhere that you can buy books. My audiobook actually just came out a couple weeks ago.
Well, and for someone who's visually impaired like myself, thank you for putting out the audiobook. I appreciate that. Well, Brian, thank you again for being a part of our show. Honestly, you're just you are a superhero. It's all that comes to mind when I think of you, really. But thank you so much for being on the show. And everybody, when we come back from this break, we're going to be taking more of your calls. That was Brian Dickinson. Thank you so much for being on the show.
All right. Thanks, Nancy.
Take care. Thank you. And we'll be right back after this break.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
You remember that ball game we went to a couple years ago?
Sure.
And how you didn't have enough cash for 2 hot dogs, so you walked with me on your shoulders until we found an ATM? And then when we got back to our seats, we never saw the hot dog guy again.
Well, I don't remember all that.
Yeah, that was an awesome game.
You never know which moments will be the ones they'll remember forever, so take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 1-877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Medical mistakes claim tens of thousands of lives every year. The healthcare community is working on it, but you can help. When you communicate with your doctor, when you ask more questions, you reduce your risk of suffering a medical mistake. Doctors can't answer if you don't ask. Help reduce your risk. Questions are the answer. Learn the 10 questions you must ask. Visit www.ahrq.gov. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, and the Ad Council.
I'm getting a catcher's mitt.
I'm getting ice skates. I'm getting a devastating flood.
Adults are generous. We're even giving kids global warming, but we can still reduce greenhouse gas pollution. Go to fightglobalwarming.com. Brought to you by Environmental Defense, the Robertson Foundation, and the Ad Council.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
The odds of this Alaskan-born pitcher being selected to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game 6 times? 1 in 48 million. The odds of this fast-balling philanthropist winning the World Series 3 times? 1 in 3 million. The odds of this man having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. Hi, I'm Kurt Schilling. Learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
In living your life full out, one huge aspect of life is trusting yourself and trusting others, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to open yourself up to a place where anything is possible. That takes you being open and willing to let others know really where you are in your life. Not trying to quote, quote, look good, but really tell people the truth. And most of all, being truthful with yourself.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
And this is the Living Full Out show. So we are in our final segment of the show, and we are again going to be taking your calls, 800-333-0001. I am just moved by Brian's by his interview. Really, I there's so many great lessons, like I said, that I want us all to really think about as we move through the next couple of days. Think about, where are you in discontent in your life? Where do you maybe need to be a little bit more grateful in your life? And how that relates to trust is that sometimes we just have to trust that life is going to unfold in the way that it should. And that's sometimes really hard to digest, because I know for myself, I've asked myself, why am I going blind? I know other people who have disabilities, or perhaps they've gone through an abusive time in their life or a financial meltdown. The why question can be very haunting. It can keep us up at night. It can take away our positivity. And the thing is you have to trust the journey of life. If you fight it, if you try to overly self-correct yourself, you might be, quote, quote, missing it, because it's in those moments when we are faced with trauma, when we're faced with being alone, like how Brian was, just trying to get down that mountain blind. Those are very character building times in our life. Those are when you can say to yourself, wow, I can't believe, I didn't even know I was that strong. But if you always try to, again, quote, quote, look good, or if you always try to have life work out perfectly, you're going to miss those moments in life. And it's those moments in life that make the stories that you tell so engaging, so amazing. So beyond today's show, I really want us to think about, where are we content in our life and where are we discontent? Where do we need to be more trusting of others and more trusting of ourselves? We're going to go back to the phone lines now. Welcome to the Living Full Out show. Welcome to the show. Hello, are you there?
Nancy?
Yes, hi, there you are. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out show.
Wasn't terrific here. Okay.
Oh,
Nancy,
I got you now.
I have a really serious question. My wife has early onset Alzheimer's, and I'm frankly struggling with how to deal with that. Do you have any suggestions on how I can cope with this?
Well, actually, the thing is we've actually had quite a few people call in on this question, whether it be sometimes it's Alzheimer's related or dementia.
Nancy,
and
I
so,
can barely hear you.
Oh, can you hear me better now? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's better now.
Oh, good. Well, let me ask you a quick question. Your wife's Alzheimer's, how far along? I know it's early, but is she starting to lose parts of her memory? Where is she at with that?
Well, she's had this roughly a year, and sometimes she just gets obviously depressed. Sometimes she seems pretty up and perky and energetic, which she's been all her life, but it's obviously a problem. And she's struggling with it, and I struggle with watching her struggle with it.
Mm-hmm. There's no good explanation in life for why things happen. Why at this vibrant time of her life did she get Alzheimer's? However, I do believe that your relationship, hers and yours, will grow into a place it could have never gone without this experience. And I think that the most beautiful thing that both of you can do is just be honest. I know you want to be strong for her, and she probably wants to be upbeat and not depressed for you. But the great thing about a marriage, and not everybody finds that special someone in their life, but when you do, you have a partner who's there to hold your hand for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, right?
Yes.
So rather than trying to always be strong for her, the best thing you can do, it may sound crazy because you don't want to further depress her, but you have to be open. You have to be open with how it makes you feel. But at the same time, letting her know that, if we, like, for example, if this is how life is going to unfold for you too, okay? And if somebody gave you two choices, number one, you are married to your beautiful wife, but you're going to go through Alzheimer's together, or choice number two, you never meet her at all. Which would you choose?
Oh, number one.
Number one, right. And you would choose number one over and over again. So the thing is when life gives us these moments that are so sad and so unbearable, it's actually part of your story. It's part of your romantic story. It makes your love story just that much more great. And there's a movie called The Notebook. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. A very, very well appreciated movie by many. And it's very touching. And the thing is I want you to know that I'm going to be thinking about you and your wife and putting a lot of positive prayers for her. But at the same time, know that being on this adventure together, whether it be Alzheimer's or whether it be, like in my world, blindness because I'm legally blind, or whether it be anything, we don't escape. We never are going to escape having health issues. It's just the card that you both were dealt. But you're gonna get through it together as a team.
Yes. Okay.
So when you're having those really hard days, I want you to remember that the universe gave you this woman to go through this journey with. You've had great times, and this is kind of the bump in the road, but it's your love story. So you get to write it as you go. And when things get harder, if they do, you're going to be fine. Because again, choice number one is way better than choice number two.
Certainly.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really about just having gratitude every day. And when she's having a hard day, just try to be of support to her the best you can. And when you're having a hard day, just be open with her and honest with her. And that's all you can do.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, that's good thoughts, good advice. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And just go spend some time with her today. Just, every day is going to be a new day. It's going to have some goods and bads to it, but just every day, laugh with her as much as you can. Do something to create memory every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay?
Terrific.
All right.
Thanks,
okay.
Nancy.
You got it. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. I love that he actually called in about that, and I'm always appreciative to all the callers that bring us their challenge that is so personal, that is so intimate. But what it should remind us all about is that we're all going to hit those times where, gosh, why me? The haunting why me question. The second question to that is it going to get any worse? And it could. You have to remember who you are at the core. And always remember that you were born into this world. You are a miracle. In that last case of our caller, finding his wife and having whatever time they have together, that's their love story. That's their miracle. So it's not about focusing on the negatives of life, because they're going to be there no matter what. It's about finding peace, finding a way to be content. Remember, Brian Dickinson mentioned that. He had to be content with his life, and he doesn't need to climb Mount Everest over and over and over again, even though he feels like he kind of missed out on the descent. He's just happy that he's alive and with his kids and his wife. And so I tell all my friends everything. I'm very open. And for others, you might say, I don't know. I mean, there's things going on in my life that I don't tell people about. Maybe you're ashamed. Maybe you're scared. But I urge you to try to get past that fear and allow people in. Because if you allow people in, now again, your friend, again, I welcome all the callers. If you have a question each week, give us a call, 800-333-0001. If email's a better method for you and you have a question for me and you'd like to get some advice or some, coaching, reach out to me at connect@livingfullout.com. And we'd love to hear your story. If you have an inspirational story that is one that you feel others would benefit from and you have some life lessons to share, that's what this community is about. So again, that's connect@livingfullout.com. And I know that I am going to be going back and listening to Brian's story again, because there was a lot of great things in there that even I can take to heart every day. Forget this woe's me, I'm going blind thing. Brian's story helps me to see that you just have to keep stepping forward. And that's what life's about. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the show. Go to livingfullout.com/radio show to hear the replay and all of our shows. And we'll be back next week. And here's to you living your life full out.